Hey, what is up, ladies and gentlemen? I'm Piglet here once again, and I'm back for some more yet again for the likes of the Maxi Toys videos. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to more Let's Play of Rabbids Go Home for the Nintendo Wii/Nintendo DS. So, last time that we've actually fully concluded done with the forms of Area 5, and now we're going to be continuing on and moving on to the forms of the final area of the game, and that will have to be Area 6. Now, just to let you all know that I haven't exactly uploaded everything during the likes of in the Friday the 23rd at this rate. Most notably because of how the fact that, well, for number one, that we are superly busy with the forms of other things in mind. And second of all, that originally I was able to actually upload this and during at some point in the 23rd of November, and that was actually a pretty lucky escape by the forms of that spiky cylinder obstacle right there, I just realized. And also another thing is the fact that I was really busy on playing Buddy Forms of Warrior Land 2 for the Game Boy Color recently, so I thought to myself that I was able to actually just to practice that game before we do the Let's Play of that game. Well, before we able to actually, or after, whenever we finish up with Warrior Land, Super Mario Land 3 first. So either way though, that's how it goes. But either way though, this was actually, today was actually Forms of the 27th of the Forms of in November. So even then, yeah, because the reason why this was uploaded and during that day is because, well, normally that's a friend of mine, Sonic and Meadowella, including my girlfriend wife, Rarity, alongside with my daughter, or in this case Rarity's daughter as well, Manaphy, that she managed to ape all day, managed to participate by the forms of the revisits of the forms of the Super Monkey Ball minigames we all know and love back in during the likes of in 2013. And the qualities-wise, they are very, very good, and much more improvement of any forms of in 2013 counterparts, at least in my opinion for that anyway. So, anyways, let's move on to the forms of the Area 6. Now, there aren't as many levels as we hoped, but either way though, the levels themselves can go pretty long this time around. In addition to that though, well, two of them down there might actually be one of the longest levels in the game, but on the other hand though, for the last two levels, including the final level, or the true final level in the game, well, I won't say that long though, because either way though, yeah, that's as far as I can see how this will go. So here we go with the first level in Area 6, Till Rabbids Do Us Cart.
This time, my sweet nurse, it's for life.
Yes, the rest of our lives.
Something tells me there was actually a bit of a proposal from the distance there, or even just about to get even marriage. But anyways though, from the get-go though, is the fact that we have to once again try and have to able to actually toss the actual black bomb of the forms of that specific red ball launcher. So even then though, just like last time, we need to able to actually toss the bomb right at this particular machinery enemy over there, but it consists of like only about for 3 hits. So I think this might actually be the final time we're gonna be trying to able to actually deal with this specific cannon there, and then after all that, then we can able to actually no longer see that. Well, we can still see it until when we get to the next couple of stages in the forms of like not only for today, but also by the forms of tomorrow, because tomorrow might actually be a grand finale of this Let's Play. Spoiler alert for those who haven't ever seen that one coming. But we'll get to more details onto that as soon as we're able to actually just to proceed to this particular, the last few levels as such. So, anyways though, so from the get-go though, you probably realize is that the Santa Claus might actually be included, and even especially noticeable, this will able to count by the forms of able to attack those humans this time around. Because either way, aside from those humans, they managed to able to actually wear those oddly shaped suits this time. But the only thing you need to able to keep an eye out for this time is the forms of Santa Claus, obviously. Aw, screw you, Red Rug. Jeez, what was that all about, huh? Anyways though, do you think that this level will be very easy for you? Well, we wait until you see it, until whenever we decide to able to pick up the forms of that specific exact same item as we've gone through for the forms of, you know, the previous levels again. But this time around, though, even though this will actually be the final time we're going to be seeing this item for reals this time. But here's the main purpose of this level, is the fact that it's going to be a lot of platforming heavy. So even then, this is by far is the most difficult level, or in this case, the most very challenging and very difficult platforming level I've ever going to be come across. Because the thing is, although to make things easier, is the fact that with the forms of that specifically, for this particular item that we've still gone through for ourselves, luckily though you do have the forms of the triple jump ability and stuff. But if you probably realized about this earlier, is that this level is just a test of, well, patience, and even especially noticeable by the forms of, like, you can't afford to able to rush things through just because of if you decide to able to do a speed run on this particular game, that's perfectly fine, at least for me anyway. But if you really want to able to actually go for, like, you know, 100% completion of that specific level alone, well, best be sure, good luck, because either way though, that if you do fall off the actual main level, well, chances are you might actually get a result in trial and error. Like, I remember back in during the likes of in 2012, when in that specific year, that kept King 74, or else back in the day, is the forms of King Loser 74. Basically, he did have a bit of a trial and error with this particular level, and I did not supposed to be able to actually enter this particular point, and I did not even notice these things can hurt me to death. Jeez. So there's going to be a lot of things you have to avoid though, like the forms of those red cylinder objects, and especially noticeable with these spinning blades, and heck, even especially noticeable, I would assume this actually calls it a lava, and hell, even by the forms of spikes as well. So yeah, this expecting they might actually be is one of the more difficult levels of the game, which is pretty much true if you ask me. Could appreciate if I was trying to go from the right, but I need to be safe for this point. Although I could have appreciated if I was trying to able to actually go after, like, you know, several of items left, but I might as well able to not to take my risk. So, and yeah, as I said this before, that this is what the level starts to get pretty not only difficult or even tougher as a result. It also starts to get even a little bit more longer. Well, not until when we get to the very end of the game, that expecting that the forms of how the fact that the majority of the levels might actually go very, very fast and quick, especially by the forms of how the fact that how fast you're able to perform that well. So yeah, that's as far as I can usually tell for this point. So yeah, a few things I want to explain about this is the fact that recently, yesterday, by the forms of well, the My Little Pony Best Gift Ever Christmas Special on DVD has just recently released during yesterday, which I'm pursuing Sonic and Rarity and Manaphy and heck, even by the forms of Metalwello as well, that those four did manage to mention about that in during the likes of yesterday's video of, you know, the Monkey Target DX, or Deluxe for short. Well, for a proper name, I should say. Now, for those of you able to actually notice something like this, is that I'm pretty sure those four also mentioned about this as well. The reason why it took me so much time to able to actually get back into this game is most notably because, well, for one thing, for sure, is the fact that those four, Sonic and Rarity, Manaphy, and Metalwello, did have a technical difficulties with the forms of the first attempt of the recording session of, you know, Monkey Target Deluxe, or in this case, you know, Monkey Target DX version 1 video. Because the reason being for that is because sometimes or in this case, my Xbox 360 sometimes doesn't read discs as often. So, well, usually it still works fine, all in all, but I just don't know why it just stops loading for some reason. But either way, though, that's, well, noticing that, but I'm sure enough that video has already been up, and I'm sure enough they are practically fine with that. So, anyways, though. So, another thing is worth mentioning, though, is that, well, we only got about 3 more, no, not so much for 3 more days left, but in the forms of, well, we've only got ourselves 4 more days to go until, you know, the final month of the forms of 2018, before 2019 is about to be on its horizon. So, not long now until when it gets to the new year, even especially noticeable where I was, like, really looking forward until when the forms of, like, well, we'll mention about that when we get to the forms of, as you expected, Christmas 2018 unboxing special because, well, we figure we might as well do that. And also, I still need to able to figure out, I need to probably sort out the forms of the 2012 incarnation of our Christmas special, but I might decide to do this a little bit more differently, that rather than just actually just manage to able to put in an original video, instead what I'm going to do is that I was trying to able to record the original video of it by the forms of my different camera that we've got, even though that the quality itself might be a little bit more outdated throughout. But we've decided that I might as well able to do a redub voice version of it because, well, I just thought that probably a redub version might be a very good idea, at least as far as the actual, like, you know, commentary as far as it will goes. And heck, even especially noticeable by the forms of, like, my commentary back in the day in 2012 wasn't exactly that great. But either way though, that's as far as I can usually say by the forms of the past years and stuff. But anyway though. And of course we've met again with the forms of the actual rotating cylinder obstacle and stuff. And you know, we need to avoid a lot of things. Specifically by the forms of the heat projectors. And heck, even especially noticeable with the level itself. So consecutively, I don't think there's any trooper Rabbids around here, so I guess the only option we do have is the forms of, well, just simply just trying to make our way to the very end of the level. So yeah, you get the idea with the solution. In fact, this level is pretty much exactly like the forms of you know, Bubble Bed Blues, except the fact that you don't have to do it with sorry, I can't really speak today for this point, folks. Oh, ow, that was really painful. Okay. Sorry about a little bit of attentions right there. Anyway, though, this level's very much exactly like it, this level's pretty much feels exactly the same level as how it does it in, you know, Bubble Bed Blues. Because, although, except the fact that you don't have to deal with the forms of the water, drifting mechanic, or in this case, just flowing water, situation. But, instead was actually going to be able to actually scale by the forms of the actual, like, outskirts of the city. But except the fact that it's going to get a lot more tough and difficult, and most of the time, intense. Because, you know, there's going to be a lot of thin platforms, and sometimes leaps of faith. And overall, in general, as far as the actual level goes, it is pretty much the most difficult level throughout the whole entire game. At least as far as I can usually just noticing that already. Now, there's one thing I forgot to mention about this, is the fact that there is actually, by the forms of how the fact of the matter is the fact that there's actually the ultimate goal, where the forms of, you know, Rabbids Go Home, which I haven't exactly researched on it yet, but I will promise you guys I would able to actually research onto that once we get into the finale portion of this Let's Play. So, don't worry, it will eventually come. So anyways, let's go ahead and just float ahead. And hopefully we'll land here, and seems more accurately, as soon as I hear this little tune here, we're almost nearly towards the end of the level, so, and of course we need to figure out the forms of that specific seesaw looking platforms, and then, you know, if you stand onto the forms of the either right or left, it just simply just does like a very much exactly like the weight system, or especially noticeable with the seesaws in general, so. And also we need to be very careful with this, is the fact that if you manage to step onto the forms of some of these collapsing building platforms, if you can see right there, what happens is the fact that you need to get off immediately, because if you don't get off of that platform during time, then you die straight away. See, Veneno, you have to like, you know, be very fast and be very quick at the same time, just in case you don't lose all of your stuff, including by the forms of how to redo the entire process again, which either way, that's how it usually goes. Alright, so we're almost there. Okay, come on. Alright, there we go. And of course we have to deal with this little tilting platform, and hopefully it should be the very end. So, but first I need to get myself my judging for the distance correctly. Oh, come on. Oh, no. Oh, phew, that was really close. But yeah, you get the idea with this level though. Definitely one of the more difficult platforming levels, which I've already said that several times. But anyways though, there was one thing in particular though, is the fact that, you know that little familiar woman that we've already come across into? well, this is the only time that she actually made it to the forms at the very end of the level before we do, so you can definitely see how. Could you imagine of how the fact that she has to go through every single crumbling platforms, I'm presuming? Well, I must admit though, I must be really impressed about her by actually making by this far. But anyways though, so that's it for that particular level, so we're never going to be able to use that, the triple jump, item again. See, for now, let's move on to the forms of the next level in the forms within Area 6. Carry on off the sphere, or I think that's what the actual word is trying to, mention, but again, do apologize by the forms of the error pronunciation, but the fact of the matter is, though, is the fact that we need to carry this very, very precious, you know, dragon jar. In this case, that really do belongs in a China place, but rather than take place in the forms of the China-based environment, instead it's going to take place in the forms of, once again, the airport. So, because why is this so obsessed with the forms of airports sometimes? Even, what is this, like Toy Story 2 reincarnation of the forms of the airport scene? Maybe so, but I wasn't exactly entirely sure on that. So, anyways though, again, not too difficult, but the main gimmick about this level though, this time around though, is the fact that, as you can see, that most of these little, you know, luggages, or even packages as a result for this matter, that as you can see, they can now actually jump onto the forms of those specific, stuff like this, and then as a result, this is where you're able to actually get from one area to the next. So, there's a kind of a cool mechanic in theory, but either way though, sometimes my momentum, whenever you're trying to jump onto the forms of like, you know, kind of like how it did in the forms of those little particular springs that, normally in the forms of, in Sonic 06, for instance, that it just simply just push you forward, which able to actually just, well, without even moving your control stick at all, of all things. But either way, though, that's just my simple nitpicking with that. But anyways, though, so let's go ahead and grab the rest of these stuff from here. At this point, I don't think we can able to actually see, well, until whenever when we get to the very end of the level, that you guys should know whenever what's coming up next, until whenever after we're able to actually go through every single portions of the level. So, yeah, this level wasn't exactly as long as the forms of the other level, but still pretty long enough as it is. Expecting if you're able to actually go through every single stuff. But either way though, let's go ahead and grab these little green drink bottle stack, and hopefully just bounce all along onto the forms of another part right there, and just grab some more stuff from there, and hopefully you might as well grab some more stuff from the center of that little spinning wheel, you know, thingy-wingy, whatever you're trying to be more precise on that. And another thing I would like to talk about is the fact that we've only got ourselves by the forms of only, I would say only 10 days left until the forms of Super Smash Bros. Ultimate is going to be coming out, and I'm going to be looking forward to that, as you guys should already know. In fact, a lot of people already know to see how this will coming, and I don't know if I don't know if we can able to do a Let's Play of that game, because, well, the reason being for that is because we haven't exactly done with the forms of, or in this case, we haven't got started by the forms of both Super Smash Bros. For the Nintendo 3DS Let's Play, nor did the forms of Super Smash Bros. For the Nintendo Wii U Let's Play yet, just because, well, unfortunately though, for those two games, well, by the forms of the 3DS and the Wii U versions of the forms of Smash 4, doesn't have by the forms of the adventure mode type, but I think that's my only nitpicking with that. But either way though, we're trying to figure this one out until whenever it gets to next year, or in this case in 2020. But again, it all depends though, really, just because of a couple of redo Let's Plays, expecting buddy forms of brand new Let's Plays here and there as well. So it might take a lot of time to able to actually think about it. So, but trust me on that, surely we can get to those eventually. So anyways though, oh yeah, and also not to mention by the forms of the Rayman Raving Rabbids trilogy on the Nintendo Wii, which I'll also be planning to do with that as well, in the forms of during next year, roughly. So, expecting that in the forms of the Warrior Land series will be also on there as well, including Warrior World for the GameCube as well. But anyways though, enough about that. So, anyways, just trying to go from one fan or one propeller to another. And it looks like, yet again, we have come across into the forms of the actual, you know, enemy encounters. So even then, yeah. But this time around, though, with the forms of too many green bumpers, and even especially noticeable with the water physics. So, yeah, you can definitely tell by this point. So, anyway. Oh, shoot. It's a little confused. Oh, thank you there. Thank you for able to actually decide to able to just fall down the edge while you simply get defeated. So I'll blame on you for that. I mean, it's one of those things how the fact that you know, you could potentially try and able to. One thing is incredibly bugging is the fact that you can't stop every time whenever the cutscene master triggers itself. So that's my only nitpicking with that. So okay. All right. Trying to deal with this stupid metal suit here, although I might as well do the blue one first. Alright, let's go ahead and just do that from... Oh, come on, come on. There we go. Oh wait, see? What the hell? Because I can definitely hear by the forms of the Rabbids are, you know, screaming and all that. Maybe I went too close to the... maybe I went too close to the edge? But, oh, God... Oh well, we'll try this again for a third time, and hopefully that, well, because I've accidentally just managed to able to actually activate by the forms of that specifically, the speed boost ability, just because of how the fact that I just do not expect how this will go. Okay, come on. Alright, come on. Alright, there we go. That pretty much does it for him. And we'll deal with this last, people suit, but the fact of the matter is, though, is that the metal one, I would say, though, is that the metal one is the most annoying, suits to deal with, just because, well, you can't able to defeat them from the front, you have to go from the back. You know, kind of like how it did for Dark Nuts, by the forms of the original Legend of Zelda game, and the NES game, if you should say, because you have to be exactly at the back of the forms of, you know, Dark Nuts back. But, to make matters even much more difficult than ever, is that you need to be extremely right on with that specific, you know, precisioning stuff. Anyways, though, for the most part, though, this level's not too bad, even though I seem to die several times due to the forms of the battle, section. But either way, though, let's just go ahead and move along. Oh, God, this section. At least, thankfully, though, this section is incredibly linear, so expecting that you cannot able to actually, like, miss anything. So even then, though, as soon as you're able to get these sections correct, then you would able to actually do this just fine. So, but you need to be very careful, though, because every nowadays is the fact that some of these pipes are actually disconnected this time around. Like, for instance, that in this particular section right there, as you can see by the forms of that red smoke. This means if you accidentally manage to able to go through that pipe down there, well, you fall down instantly. So this is what the forms of the yellow striped mark pipes comes into play. That way you can able to actually turn them into the forms of the opposite direction of exactly where you're supposed to go. So yeah, very simple for this section though. In fact, it's actually way easier though to me compared to the forms of the cow apocalypse to me though, just because, well, not exactly for surely, but just a small portion of it to me though. But anyway, let's go ahead and just hop into this pipe here, and hopefully we could able to actually jump from another section to another and grab some more stuff here. And before you know, is that after when you're able to nab those other items like so, then it just leads me back into the forms of what I got into. And don't worry though, if you manage to get to this point right there, it's basically you ended up in a loop. So all you can do is just basically just change the actual pipe direction and boom, there you go. Simple and straightforward and nothing too much of a challenge. So there we go. And of course we have to deal with that you know, time-based switch. But before we do that, I need to grab most of my stuff, and please don't tell me I was too late. Yeah, I was too late. Yeah, because of how the fact that with the forms of that specific, you know, alarm bell or anything like that, that I didn't seem to able to make it. So, oh well, we'll try that again. But hopefully, though, I can able to simply make it there. So there we go. Alright, so good stuff so far, and the fact of the matter is, though, is the fact that since we now have by the forms of 6 light bulbs. This means journey experiencing by the forms of the start to finish is actually a lot more easier and much more convenient this time. So even then know that you won't have as many troubles here. Well, apart from by the forms of some trial and error moments like falling down to the pit below, or sometimes occasionally that the knockback will still existence, and heck, even especially noticeable that don't get me started by the forms of these glitches sometimes. Well, usually the only time I've actually come across into a glitch is like twice for this Let's Play so far, which is pretty bizarre if you're much able to think about it. But either way though, I can't afford to able to get these stuff from the top there because I think it actually requires me to able to actually bounce onto the forms of those specific special platforms over there. Well, to be more specifically, those particular obstacles here. So, anyways though, let's continue, and I believe, well, after this little checkpoint right here, and I believe this might actually be the final section of the level, and the reason being for that is because, well, as you can see, that this will actually be the final time we're going to be find those 5 red pipes. So, yeah, but this time around though, we got ourselves this particular cleaning box returning again. Excuse me. That, except the fact that it just goes like, extremely small for the actual room, and to make matters even much more difficult this time is the fact that, well, I don't know if you can able to actually recover from, well, there are still some recovery points that you can able to actually be safe for, but if you really want to able to get every single pipes all in one go, well, best be sure to able to actually be extremely fast and a little bit more accurate than that. Oh, what the hell? He immediately knows what I come from over there, but at least I managed to go from this point here, so thanks for that. And this is what the actual dash ability will comes into play. It's, you know, just go through the forms of stack of papers, and that's all you have to do for this point, so yeah. And there we go, and I deserve that. You stupid little bot. Oh, jeez. Anyways, though, yeah, that'll be about it. By the forms of collecting the red pipe syndrome now, so, yeah. And we are essentially done with the main level. So, yeah, I can't believe how the fact of the matter is, though, even though this level was supposed to be kind of long, but, hey, at least we managed to beat the level a little bit a certain amount of time. So, there we go. And let's just see how much stuff we have gathered. We still reached over 900, but on the other hand though, we're off by 48, but that's fine, because either way though, that's just simply how I roll. Ironically I know, it's the fact that the only level we've ever done when it comes to gather like 1000 items is the forms at the very beginning of the game. So I think that might be actually be the only level that we've actually 100% through everything, at least in one of the levels. So, which is kind of ironic, but at least I did manage to do these levels decently. So, yeah, I'm afraid, guys, we're going to have to end things off at this point right there, because I'll save those 3 levels for the final video of this Let's Play, so I thought to myself I might as well do that. So anyways, though, join me next time on Let's Play Rabbids Go Home, is the fact that we are about to be end of the main game, to able to actually, hopefully, able to actually accomplish the last 3 levels, and everything else will be fully accomplished. So, yeah, see you guys next time. Later, fellas.